fourth pioneer is named Karlin Yeh, and he's actually a freshman in mechanical engineering at the Cooper Union. So although he is young, he already has a scientific career under his belt and numerous scientific accomplishments. He was the 2013 participant in the White House Science Fair, and he's also an avid roboticist, and he's created many award-winning robots and has competed in FIRST Tech Challenge and also the Google X Prize Moonbots. He's also currently focusing on a do-it-yourself DNA synthesizer and the open fuge. Tonight, though, he's not going to be speaking to us about all of this. He's going to be speaking to us about a way to fight beach erosion with tide energy. So let's give it up for Karlin.
Thank you. I'm good. Hi, my name is Karlin, and my project aims to solve beach erosion. So how many of you would like to be at this warm, sunny beach right now? Well, how many of you would still like to be at this beach? The only difference between these two pictures is Hurricane Sandy. Now, normally during a storm, sand is washed away from the beach and forms offshore sandbars, and these protect our coastline by causing storm surges to break early. Once the storm calms down, the sand is then washed back onto the beach, and the beach continues on with its daily normal life, I guess. Any sand that is lost to deeper waters is replenished through sediment runoff from rivers. However, man-made structures such as dams, groins, boat channels, and seawalls interrupt this natural cycle of erosion and replenishment. Dams filter sediment from rivers, while seawalls prevent the formation of the protecting sandbars. Groins and boat channels trap sand and prevent longshore transport. In these two pictures here, you can see how these groins and this pier have trapped sand on the upstream section and starved the downstream section of any sand. So what exactly is longshore transport? Well, it's the movement of sand parallel to the beach, and this is due to the fact that waves actually break diagonally to the coastline, not parallel. This causes erosion and deposition in this pattern here, and eventually the sand moves sideways. This also means that any method of replenishment that tries to trap sand is really just stealing it from somewhere else. To further add to the problem, oceanfront property flattens dunes and kills dune grass. And normally, dune grass catches any airborne sand particles, while the roots also help hold the dune in place, similar to how tree roots hold soil on a mountainside. And without the dune grass and the dunes, the beach is easily eroded by wind. The ironic thing is that after these homeowners have destroyed their natural protection, they complain when their multi-million-dollar home is destroyed in a storm, since the National Flood Insurance Program only covers up to $250,000 in damages. The current method used by the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers to replenish beaches is to dredge sand a couple miles offshore, transport it with these barges, and then reliquefy the sand and pump it through these pipes onto the beach. The sand is then filtered for rocks and munitions and then spread out using bulldozers. Using this method, the federal government has spent over $209 million in less than 20 years. And here's one of these federally funded projects in Monmouth Beach. Here's before replenishment and here's after. Big difference. This site costs around $16 million to replenish, and it was completed shortly before Hurricane Sandy, meaning most of the beach was actually washed away. Here's another replenishment site in Long Branch, New Jersey, and for this 1,500-foot stretch of beach, which is just over a quarter mile, it costs $9 million to replenish. So why the spending then on these tiny little rocks? Well, tourism. In New Jersey alone, coastal tourism accounts for $38 billion a year. But does that really justify all the spending that's going to be washed away in less than a decade? My moonshot is to use renewable wave energy to assist in the natural replenishment process of the beaches. Using submersible wave pumps that are currently used for hydroelectricity and desalination, in conjunction with the Coanda effect, a sand slurry can be pumped towards the beach and deposited by wave action. Most submersible pumps work by having a neutrally buoyant buoy and a piston, and as waves pass over it, it moves up and down in response to the change in water column height. These pumps have the advantage of being storm resistant and also out of sight compared to surface wave generators. However, since they are a piston model, the output is normally high pressure but low flow. In order to convert it to low pressure but high flow, which is optimum for sand transport, I propose to use the Coanda effect. And defined by Merriam-Webster, it's the tendency of a jet of fluid emerging from an orifice to follow an adjacent flat or curved surface to entrain fluid from the surroundings so that a region of low pressure develops. It sounds really complicated, but it's really a simple principle that allows planes to fly and the Dyson bladeless fan to amplify air by up to 15 times. Now, by pumping in a high-pressure jet of water through a ring here, and then the Coanda effect will cause the water to follow the edge of the pipe, drawing in more water and allowing us to amplify the flow of the pumps. These are some scale models that we did. They're about 3 inches in diameter, and we were able to get sufficient flow. By drawing water in, it would allow us to pick up sand that is being eroded from the beach and then pumped back and allowed to be deposited by the waves. This system, the pumps and the rings, would only operate during high tide to ensure sand is deposited and not eroded. And then the injection point will be at the point where the waves break. And this, by using waves and longshore transport to disperse the sand for us, we greatly reduce the amount of energy required to transport the sand, as well as making the entire system practically invisible to beachgoers. Our injection point will be somewhere around here at one of the offshore sandbars, and the collection point will be just beyond that. The pumps will be in way deeper water, anywhere from 20 meters to 40 meters deep, so that swimmers and boats don't accidentally come in contact with them. Now, since the water will probably become murky due to the sand slurry, the system would operate during the off-season, anywhere from September to March. And they will be controlled using solar power buoys. Now, wave pumps are a proven technology, and submersible ones without any moving parts or impellers have also been observed to form artificial reefs. For example, 3 wave pumps just off of the coast of Perth, Australia, are currently supplying water and electricity for 1,100 people at this naval base. Now, at this point, you're probably wondering, how much does my moonshot cost compared to the current dredging method, since I made such a big deal about money earlier? Well, extrapolating data from the test site for these wave pumps, the Ashkelon desalination plant in Perth, in Israel, the Hoover Dam, and Hawaii Beach replenishment procedures, I estimate it will cost roughly $800,000 to replenish a 1,500-foot stretch of beach that costs $9 million by current methods. And since the pumps have an estimated lifespan of 25 years, that's about 4 cycles of the current method, and an estimated savings of $36 million, meaning more than 90% in savings. These savings can also be applied to other areas, such as the Monmouth Beach that we just looked at, or Virginia Beach, where they replenished it for the 49th time since 1951, since it's such a hot tourist location. You can also apply it to the entire U.S. eastern seaboard, where there's over 2,000 miles of coastline and a potential for $63 billion in savings. Beach erosion is a problem that's not going away for a long time, and thanks to global warming, storms are only expected to get worse. It's impractical to try to force coastal homeowners to vacate their homes for their own safety. So instead, it seems like we must face Mother Nature head-on. But why not use renewable wave energy and assist in the natural replenishment process that has maintained our coastlines for millennia? Thank you.
Very nice idea. Have you done any modeling in terms of looking at volumes of water, volumes of sand that you have to move, and the flow rates that you're looking at?
Yes.
Is the duration of the replenishment the same, or do you have to wait longer for the same amount of beach to be replenished?
Right now, I'm looking at a 7-year span, which is about the current cycle. And these pumps will operate for 7 months for 7 years, and it will move the same amount of sand that the current dredging method tries to move in less than a month. And since it's spread out over that amount of time, that's why it comes out much cheaper, because it's not in a hectic rush.
I guess my question would be, if it takes longer to replenish, is it likely to wash away during the process?
The key is that we're grabbing sand that is being washed away at the moment, and that way it wouldn't be able to be transported elsewhere. So really, we're just pumping it back, and there's less of a likelihood of it actually washing away.
I have to think about that.
Yes.
It seems to me that what you said, I want to make sure I understand it correctly, is that these pumps and this technology exists. Your idea is to apply it in a different way.
Yes.
So in terms of what you or a company would do, are you adding to the technology, or are you just simply using it differently?
We will be adding to the technology, because right now they just pump water straight onto the shore. There's the entire logistics of figuring out the pattern of flow and collecting it and applying it to the coanda rings, because there's no coanda rings aren't really used underwater right now, and we're not sure how big they would have to be or the location to track sand, and then also the optimum place to inject the sand so that the waves carry it the final distance.
Given that what you've just said, do you need to have a very good model
Yes.
of the both the water and the dynamics of the transfer of the water before you can accomplish?
Yeah, that would be the next stage that I'm thinking about. We'll be scaling up the coanda rings and also testing it in a scale model wave tank.
No, but I mean, even do you need to know the actual layout of the beach and the underlying
Yes.
terrain? Yeah, so you need to have that essentially in place before you can start
Yes.
doing that. Okay.
And you did mention, I guess, that they're using this in Australia, off the coast
Yes.
of Australia. So are you collaborating internationally?
No,
with-
I just focused on those pumps because they're the most rigorously tested, so they have the most data available, and it allowed me to extrapolate from that. Yes.
When I first had read about this idea in our brief, the idea of the water being murky was of some concern, and you had addressed that. And I'm curious why you suggest running them in the off season as opposed to at night.
Because they would be based off of tides. So if I ran them at night, they would only be able to have a quarter of the amount of pumping time. It would be possible, and that's probably a good idea, but I just wanted to ensure that during the on-season where people are fishing at night or they're going surfing, I don't want to it would be counterintuitive to dampen their experience, I guess.
Any other
Any
questions?
other